Hello everybody, it's Carrie Elias, and today I have a fun tutorial sharing a way to customize your pocket pages to fit any size binder. The example I'm using is customizing a 3x4 pocket to fit inside this cute We Are Memory Keepers classic leather Instagram album. You'll need a crocodile, you'll need the Tombow Extreme adhesive. It's always nice to have some scissors on hand when you're working with paper, a Sharpie, so your pocket pages, and you'll see here that the 3x4 pocket pages I'm using are the Heidi Swapp brand, and then the 4x4 pocket pages are the We Are Memory Keepers brand, and they actually come with the album, but that's an extra pack, so you can see what they look like if you buy them separately. And then you also need any kind of paper. If you watched the previous tutorial I did for Shimelle, you'll know that I used black cardstock for that project. For this one, I'm using some glitter paper because I want my project to be holiday themed, and I thought it would be kind of fun and festive. So I'm taking my pocket pages that come with my Instagram album out, and I chose 6 of those for my project. And now I'm choosing 5 of the 3x4 Heidi Swapp pocket pages. And yeah, and then you'll see here, I'm going to go ahead and show that the 4x4 pocket pages fit inside that binder perfectly, obviously. But the 3x4, like, the holes don't line up at all. So we have to customize those pocket pages to be able to use them in this album. And it's a really simple process. The first thing you want to do is use your ruler and you want to measure your base. And so you can see that the base where the holes are is a 1/2 inch, and so you just double that to 1 inch. I like to give myself just a tad bit extra room. So I'm going to cut off a strip of this paper here that is 1 inch wide. And you'll see that this cutter is a little old, so a bunch of the numbers are missing, and so I end up kind of eyeballing it, using my cut piece as an example instead of the actual numbers, since my numbers are kind of worn off. And so I'm going to cut 4 of this pretty blue-green color, 1 inch, just over 1 inch wide by 4 inches tall. And you can do your pocket pages, the binders, really, you can make it the same size as the same height as the actual pocket page, because the actual pocket page that I'm using is just over 4 inches. It's probably almost 4¼ inches, but I wanted the binding, since it is made out of paper, to match up with the size that is going to fit inside the pocket page. I hope that makes sense. So then that way the pocket page has a pretty 4x4 piece of paper in it, or a photo, and then it matches up with the 4-inch tall paper binding as well. So the first thing I'm going to do after that is just fold them in half, and you can see I like to do it by hand. You can also obviously use a scoring board and just score down the middle. This first technique I show you, I use the Tombow adhesive directly on the page protector, and I wanted to show you that I personally don't think it works quite as well. I think it works best when you apply it to the paper instead. So you'll see that when I go ahead and do all the rest of them, I apply it directly to the paper instead of the pocket page. And there you have your binding all covered in your paper. And then you take your Sharpie and whatever size holes you need. I know that this 4x4 page protector fits inside my binder because it came with it. And so I used that as my guide for where to punch my holes. and I just lined it up. I tried to center it as best as possible because they are kind of different heights. And then I used my Sharpie specifically because I knew it was going to show up on the glitter paper, whereas other types of pens may not necessarily show up as well. And then you can see it fits in there just perfectly. And it's going to line up with my 4x4 pocket page really well. And there you go. You have those two that now both fit in there. And one thing I'd like to mention, I'm showing you again just to repeat the process so that it helps to see it more than once. One of the things that I do want to kind of point out, and I kind of show it in more detail at the very end, is I fold these in half, I attach the adhesive, and then I attach these to the pocket page. Well, when I go to line it up with the pocket page, you'll see that I put the pocket page down and then I put the paper on top of it, but I don't have the paper go past that line that that keeps your insert in place. I hope that makes sense. But anyways, you'll notice on the binding that there's a little dotted line, and that's where I line my paper up with on the edge, and it just works out really well. So there's the green one, and this Tombow adhesive, the extreme adhesive, works really, really well for this project. Traditionally, you may have noticed that the other binding that I used for my previous Shimelle tutorial for the gold leafing project, I actually, it's just a tad bit different in the sense that instead of using this adhesive, I used a temporary adhesive and then sewed my paper before I punched my holes to keep it in place, because at the time I didn't know about the this really great strong adhesive and that it would work so well. So I'm really happy because this makes the process quite a bit faster than having to take my sewing machine out. And then you can see here again, I'm just lining up my pocket page that I know fits. And one thing you'll notice, I believe it's with this one, is it's just a tad bit too tight, the way that I punched the holes, even though I lined it up. Apparently I wasn't quite accurate enough. So you'll see that I go back and I use my Crocodile to kind of widen the holes just a little bit. And you can't tell at all, like it looks perfect. So there's definitely ways, if you're not exactly pleased with where you punched your holes, to kind of alter that a tiny bit. You know, maybe you didn't measure exactly perfect. So there you have it. I have all these pages ready to go in my mini book. And again, this project, I've used it in many different ways. I've used it in other mini books that I just wanted to customize pocket page sizes, maybe a 5x7 mini book, or I wanted to use mix different type of 6x8 album inserts together, but they were different manufacturers, and so they didn't line up with whatever album that I wanted to use. I also use this technique for adding in extra pages that don't necessarily fit to like my Project Life albums, whether they be 12x12 or 8.5x11. You know, 2 rings, 3 rings. And then here you can see is where I zoom in and I show that little line that I use as my guide that I don't go past when I add my paper. And then next up is I have one more video sharing an actual mini book that I put together using these fun pockets, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Bye.